Hi everyone, welcome to the Friday the 13th edition of the Westwood Screencast. Here we go. First off, a special shout out to John and Miriam and Sue who have been doing a lot of things in the background, getting us set. John with the testing, all three of them with food, and helping getting our art supplies. They're going to be going home soon together. So thank you to the three of you. Really appreciate your efforts, and I know all of us are working extremely hard too, so thank you to everyone for all their efforts as we head toward going back to distance. Doing an early edition this time because there's information now regarding the distance learning schedule. We really wanted to get that out to everybody so that you could start planning and start thinking. Definitely things we still need to figure out, but wanted to give you that information. So as you'll see in this next slide, I have not yet put in our schedule for the week. I'll mail that out later on this weekend when I have that all taken care of. But I will go with what we do have. Starting off, we will continue map testing next week. We are being told as a district we want to do for sure first through third grade. When you start looking at it that way, we might as well do all first through fifth. For our distance kids, for hybrid kids, get that information prior to going to distance. So we'll continue with that same schedule. I just switched reading to math because I believe we're following the same schedule here, and we will continue with that. And of course, the last week before distance, we are doing pictures. So we have pictures on the 16th and the 20th. Sent out a reminder to parents about that today. You can see the times that I put on there. Please try to get there a couple minutes early. It is tight, 15 minutes with one camera, but normally we have two cameras, but we have less kids in the classes, so we're gonna make it work. We're gonna be going into the Kids Safari room. If you are scheduled to come, try to get there a couple minutes early so that we can get in and out of that and have fabulous Life Touch pictures. All right, now we're going to get to the to the meat of the matter here, talking about our distance schedule. First off, I really want to thank a few people, Diane and Alicia and Becky and Kristen, and I bet I'm forgetting someone who gave me some good information on how all of this works, and also went to the DIT committee this week to help share some of our thoughts about how we can make this schedule the best possible and make it as doable as we can. First off, we're going to stay the same. It will be 2 reading and 2 math groups. We're not going to go 4 and 4. We're going to stay 2 and 2. We're aiming for 5 small groups. I will say, though, if you are a class that has really, really small numbers, you might just do 4. But the expectation is 5 unless you have really small numbers. Like before, we're having a morning meeting. One thing that we're adding on in the morning, any time that works for you in the morning with your whole class, you want a whole group instruction time. 2 of those days you'll be doing math, 2 of those days you'll be doing reading. You get to choose how that part works. And probably your lesson isn't more than 15 or 20 minutes. I know that on the schedule I shared with you, Westwood Distance Learning schedule, I have it linked down here. I have it in 30-minute blocks, and that just actually makes it easier for scheduling. But I realize when you do that instruction, it might just be 15 or 20 minutes, a mini lesson, and that is okay. You get to choose where you put that in the morning to make that work for you. So that's one of the pieces. In the afternoon, after you've had your morning meeting, after you've had your whole group instruction in the morning, at some point after lunch, it could be right after lunch with a read aloud. It could be at the very end of the day with a whole group check-in or a closing circle. You're going to bring that whole class back together. And once again, it might just be about 15 minutes where you're going to have the opportunity just to connect with those kids again. You could also use that time, and I'd hope you would. Maybe there's a kid that needs a little extra help or doesn't understand something. You can use that time to try to help them out at that time. Maybe you ask your kids, hey, anybody have any questions or have any concerns or having trouble with anything? It's just another touch point to connect with those kids at the end of the day. That means a lot to our families. This is something that we really want to make sure that we're doing. So in your head and with with your time blocks and trying to work around everything, try to find a time toward the end of the day, anytime after lunch, that you can do this. Up to you how to make it work. I know that our distance learning teachers, most of them are doing some form of this. I know Leanne is doing a read aloud after lunch, and can use that time at the end to check in with kids. I know, check with the distance learning teachers, and we'll share more about that when we get to our 2 days of work. I forgot the dates on those. I believe it's the 23rd and the 24th, whatever those 2 days are, right before Thanksgiving break. Prep time, one expectation is that you're going to find a time with your whole team that you can prep together, because we all know, I don't need to tell you this, it's going to be really important that you're working together and sharing ideas. So just be aware of that. You're going to have to get together and figure that out. Specialists, you're going to have pretty much the same schedule. You'll be sending out asynchronous work on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. You'll have the same class for a whole week. And then Wednesday, you'll do the synchronous meets like we have before. I still need to figure out the monkey wrench of 4 kindergarten classes with 3 specialists. And also knowing, though, that we only are having specialists cover 2 5th grade specialist times. So somehow we're going to have to work that out, and I'll be working on that over the weekend. Well, I started thinking, in this COVID year of 2020, this is our 3rd master schedule. And I got to tell you, it is always a bear to try to figure this out for all of us. It is a challenge to figure out how to meet all the needs of our kids when so many of them need EL support or special ed support or interventions, and now we need to put in small groups. This is a challenge. We know that. What I'm going to ask is that you work together with all of those different groups to try to communicate, listen to each other, try to make this work as best we can so that we can meet the needs of the kids, so that we can get those small groups, those whole groups all in together. We know there's no perfect schedule. There are things that we're going to have to figure out. If you need my help with that, let me know. But the first thing I'm going to say is connect with each other on how to make that work. I have included our Westwood winter distance schedule, and then this Distance Learning 2.0 scheduling expectations. I'm going to click on this now. Oh, that didn't work. As you can see, this says expectations for synchronous and asynchronous lessons. First off, this is a template or an example. Yours might look different, and that is okay. We can see that we have morning meeting at 9 o'clock. That is something that obviously we're going to keep the same. But then the next block of time is whole group literacy. That might work for you. You might end up having to move it down to some other place. That's okay. You put that whole group where you need it. You'll notice that there's days 1, 2, 3, 4 on here. That's to show that you need 2 math, 2 literacy. You can choose when you want to do it. I think we know this, but if you're working in your whole group on literacy, we also want to be pushing out asynchronous math material or math lessons and work on those days too. In the afternoon, once again, you pick where you put that whole group check-in in. This schedule shows it's at the very end of the day. That's fine. We no longer have office hours. This kind of replaces office hours, which didn't seem to work as well. You can see that there's some information down here. It's talking about 5 groups. That makes sense to me unless you have a pretty small class, and it makes sense to do 4. But most of you, I think, would probably have 5 groups. Scrolling down, here's just another way of looking at it. Day 1, 2, 3, and 4, showing all the different information of things that we need to be including in another sample schedule with times. One thing I want you to notice, we have some different ways that this has been put together. 9 to 9:30, a synchronous whole group. 10 to 10:30, 10:30 to 11. Small group here with a synchronous small group. You notice this is 20 minutes. I just want to point this out. If you need to schedule a synchronous small group for 20 minutes, that's okay. When you are doing the teaching, probably you aren't doing really a synchronous small group for more than 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, not talking about morning meeting, talking about the actual lessons. And a lot of you probably leave a little extra time to connect and answer questions too. What I'm trying to show is there are some ways of being flexible in here to make it meet the needs of your class. Down here, small group, either 20 or 30 minutes, you get to determine that. Just another example here, another sample. None of these have to be exactly the way that you have it, but you do need a morning meeting. You do need a whole group working on some kind of math or reading lesson in the morning and some kind of touch point check-in with kids in the afternoon. All right, so what are our next steps? What I'm asking you to do is start plugging in your small group times, your whole group morning time, whole group afternoon time, and decide your prep time with your team. Also, start collaborating with those others that share students to fix those sticky scheduling spots as best we can. So that's a lot on scheduling as we head to our distance schedule. Thank you again for all of your work, all of the things that you're doing. This is a difficult time always for me. The most stressful and most anxious times are when we're switching from one thing to another. But we've done it 2 times already. We're going to make this 3rd time work. We're going to work together to make it work. There will be snafus this coming week as we deal with staff or students that are out, but we will get through it and we will have a good plan. So that being said, I am out for the weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody. And I will send a little bit more information probably out on Sunday regarding any other scheduling things that come up. Feel free to reach out if I can answer any questions. Have a good weekend, everyone.